Forgive the shugliness of a bit of handheld filming, but I thought that those of you from the north who don't know Kinnaird might be interested to see the outside of our church, and particularly can I show you the fabulous setting of it. Up here, as I said at the beginning, in the Braes of the Carse, just north of Inchture, which you'll find west of Dundee on the map. A couple of intimations that might be useful in Echt and Midmar as well as here in the Carse. As you can imagine, congregations everywhere are keenly waiting for a sign that we're able to return to our church buildings for Sunday worship, and we think that's likely to happen at some point within phase 3 of the Scottish Government's lifting of the lockdown. At the moment, that looks as if it would be mid-July at the very earliest, possibly later. We have an enormous, extremely careful, thorough document from the church's administrative offices to guide us in preparing our buildings and our services to be as safe as possible. It covers how we move, where we sit, what we touch, what we can include in our worship, what precautions we have to take. Office bearers in many congregations are now beginning to examine their church buildings with rulers and stripy tape and sanitising liquid to hand. You name it, they're using it. And we'll give you as much notice as we can in each parish of the arrangements each kirk session decides to make. Let me give you 2 words of caution that maybe modify the optimism of that just a little. One is that we know that quite a few members, because of their age or underlying medical conditions or recent illnesses, will not be returning to church buildings as soon as it's possible for the rest of us to come to them. Our plan in this charge will be to stop having the YouTube services when we come back to church buildings, but to continue to put parts of our worship onto the telephone service some of you are using. So we'll have a kind of mixed economy of worship for a while. But it means that some people who have not been able to come out to church for quite a long time will be able to share our worship. The second point I have to make to my own folks, and it's a consequence of what I've just been saying, is that the Kinnaird congregation worships in this building that has only one entrance, and it also has quite a few people of, let me put it delicately, more venerable years. So the plan is to focus the services of the Inchture and Kinnaird congregation just in the Inchture building to begin with and see how we get on. The second thing I want to say, and I'm sure Ms Mitchell would be saying something similar, so this probably affects all of you, is that you've been wonderfully thoughtful and imaginative in keeping up your financial support of your local congregation. Standing orders have been maintained or increased or begun. Envelopes have been filled and smuggled somehow to treasurers. One-off donations have been made by cheque or in this charge to our Just Giving page or through the donations facility every congregation in the church now has through the Church of Scotland website. But this is now week 14 of online worship, and I'm not going to pussyfoot about, I'm just going to say it. If you made a donation a couple of months ago thinking it would cover the few weeks we wouldn't be around, well, maybe the period you had in mind has elapsed. Is it something you need to think about again? All our congregations are self-sustaining charities and they're struggling. So I hope you don't mind me just pointing out that for you as time continues to pass in this strange experience, though please God perhaps not for too much longer. Well then, it has been an honour to provide the service for the Echt and Midmar congregation. Best wishes from all of us down here in East Perthshire to all of you up there in rural Aberdeenshire, and a special love from me to Sheila and Philip as she recovers under his presumably devoted care. We end with a brand new hymn from John Bell. It addresses another question of including each other in church, but this time relating to our current circumstances.